What is up guys, my name is Rohin. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a color correction using Magic Bullet Looks. Magic Bullet Looks is a paid plugin. I would recommend it. It's really good. It's expensive, however, in my opinion it is worth it. I'll leave a download link in the description for that. So once you download Magic Bullet Looks, to use the actual plugin, it will download an effect called Looks. And we're going to drag looks onto an adjustment layer. If you don't know what an adjustment layer is, I'm going to explain now. An adjustment layer is a layer that basically when you apply any effects on it, it will also apply the same effects on all clips below it. If you're a bit confused, I'll show you what a mullet is now. So say if I click Ctrl, O and Y to make an adjustment layer, and I add a simple effect like a glow, you notice now that my whole montage has this glow, because everything under this adjustment layer is my montage. And the reason we use an adjustment layer mainly for Magic Bullet Looks is because it saves you having to apply the looks to each and every clip, and it also can reduce your render time, which is always good. So to use Magic Bullet Looks, just drag looks in your effects and presets on your adjustment layer, and then go to this edit tab here. Now you're in this edit tab, you'll see if you go over to looks by clicking here, you'll see loads of presets which you can use already made for you. How I make my CCs is I have a CC pack that I normally go through. I'll leave a link to the CC pack in my Discord server. To join my Discord server, scroll all the way down to free assets, and you can see some cool Magic Bullet Look presets. Now once you download them, you'll need to put them in a certain folder. To do this and find the folder, just go to settings, go to view presets folder, go to custom, and then you could see this is where you need to drag all your presets into. Big shout out to Rockland, by the way. He made a lot of these presets, so go check him out. Link to his channel will be in the description. He's a great guy, so go check him out. So I normally just apply one of my ready-made presets. However, if you want to start out something from scratch, I'm going to also show you how to do that now. So to start applying effects onto your source by scratch, go over to the Tools tab, and you can see loads of effects that we can apply. There's different elements of a video like the subject, matte, lens, camera, and post. I'm not going to be really explaining what these are, just mess around, and I'm sure you have a quite idea, because the definitions for this are quite hard, if I'm honest. So we have exposure, which is basically our brightness of our clip. I'm probably going to up the brightness for a CC I'm making just a little bit. Also have different types of exposure. We also have a contrast. I'm sure you know what this is. It's quite well known. You can obviously adjust the contrast of your clip. Just going to add a little bit of contrast, not too much. When you're making a color correction, try have an image of your head of what you're trying to create and slowly build up that image by adding effects. You don't have to add every effect, but I'm going to be showing you the main ones that you're probably going to be using. Colorista is also a really good effect, and this basically allows you to adjust shadows, midtones, and highlights. So if we're going for a more reddish kind of montage, we might drag our midtones more to the red side, our shadows back to the blue side to kind of counteract that red, and our highlights, probably we want to add a color that is we want to add. So right now it's a bit looking too red, so I'll probably drag the highlight back to a more bluish color. And within Colorista, we also have things like HSL, where you can adjust how saturated certain colors are. So again, if you're going for a more reddish edit, dragging the red up will increase saturation of reds. I'm just going to increase the red a little bit, lower the orange, and lower the yellow a little bit. You also have something called curves, which will basically, if you double click, you can make a point. If you drag this point up, increase the brightness of like the upper part or like lighter parts of your video, or if you increase the brightness on the more towards down of your video, it will increase the brightness on darker parts of your video. What I like to do with curves is I like to make a point here by double clicking, drag this one up and drag this one down just a little bit, kind of creates a nice little effect. And then if we move on to our matte tab, we have loads of different effects. One effect that you're probably going to be using a lot is diffusion. Diffusion, it basically kind of adds like a subtle color onto your CC. It's quite cool. It also adds a little bit of glow. Again, for this, it's still looking a lot red, so I'm going to make it a bit blue. And as you can see, that's kind of balanced things out. You can click this stop icon here to show what it will look like without. So that's without diffusion, and that's with diffusion. It's kind of balance things out a bit of here. I'm also going to up the exposure just a little bit. Highlight bias, I'm going to drag just a bit down. I mainly just experiment. The main way to make a CC is to experiment honestly and see what you like best. And also another good effect is chromatic aberration. This effect basically, well, it basically says what it does. It creates chromatic aberration. If you don't know what chromatic aberration is, it basically separates colors in your clips. I don't really use this effect too much, but I know a lot of editors do. And look, as you can see, if I adjust the green and magenta, it makes them stick out a lot more. I mainly, when I do use chromatic aberration, I just make it stick out a little bit, just for a nice little red and green effect. I don't know if you can see that there. You also have vignette, which can also be quite useful. And if I disable this and enable it, you can see what it does. It kind of just adds like this dark black kind of circle around it, which will basically focus more into the center of your clip. I'm just going to add just a little bit of vignette, like that. If we go to our camera tab, we have things like a lot. Now, a lot is really important. It basically processes colors and then outputs them in a different way. That you can use many lots. What I like to do is if you go to the lot, when you apply a lot, if you go to here, you have loads of different presets, and as you can see, they'll apply to the CC quite harshly. They're quite a good effect, and if you're starting a CC, it's probably a good idea to add a lot and apply it to your subject. Because look, if I apply it to my subject and my camera, they do look different. So some effects, if you apply them to different types of your video, they will look different. I'm going to leave mine in the camera. You also kind of adjust the strength of it, which I really do like. This is kind of more of a red lot, which is good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lower it a bit so some of the blues can come out in the video, like there. And you can now see without it and with it. It is a really subtle difference, but it's all of these effects that make a really subtle difference that create one big difference in the whole CC. There's also curves here. I explained curves earlier in Colorista. And if you double click again, you can just adjust how bright the brighter parts of the clip are. And if you go down here, adjust how dark the darker parts of the clips are. Right now, I think the dark parts are a bit too bright. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to lower this a bit. And yeah. Our shoulder is also good. Shoulder is basically just a preset type of curve. It basically makes lighter parts a bit darker. So I can see with curves, with shoulder, if I disable it, you can see it's a lot lighter. You also have things like post. Post, you also do have a lot of effects. One effects I do like to use is S-curve. And if you apply this, it's kind of like a different type of exposure. It really brightens the clip. When I add my S-curve, I'm just going to turn the brightness a bit down, the contrast a bit down, and change the midpoint to something like that. Another good effect that you could use is four-way color. Four-way color is basically it's kind of like an extension of colorista. Now you can change shadows, midtones, and highlights, and you also have a master, which will change the tone of kind of everything. This is kind of like S_quad tone if you've ever used that effect. So if you're familiar, that effect, you'll know that's good. So far, it's looking a bit more red, so I'm going to probably change the midtones to bluish color, change the highlights to more of a reddish color, so it's not too blue. Change the shadows to more of, I say a green color looks good. Mainly just experiment. Or maybe I won't even adjust midtones. Again, right now everything is looking a bit red, so maybe the master I'll drag just a little bit to the blue. And now I think the clip is a bit too dark, so I'm going to go back to my S-curve and maybe just turn up the brightness a bit. Or go back to my exposure and turn up the brightness. In your post, you also have hue and saturation, which basically does what it says. You can adjust the hue and saturation of your clip. I don't use this effect a lot because I don't like messing with saturation, but I know you guys probably do. Another cool effect which really does change the look of your montage is film print. And once you apply this effect, it's kind of like a LUT, but it's more of an overlay, if that makes sense. You have different presets of film print, which you can hear by changing the film stock. I don't use this effect a lot, but I know a lot of editors do. It is quite a nice effect, to be fair, but I personally just don't use this effect because I think it's hot garbage, but whatever. And honestly, for the other effects, just go ahead and experiment because I've shown you all of the main effects all down here. So you should have a main idea of what effects you'll be using in your color correction, how to make one now. And if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to subscribe, join my Discord server to get those free Magic Bullet Looks presets, and I'll see you in the next one.